Hi, my name is Marcel from SENNA, and this is Amped.
I guess the first place to start off really is asking, how does it feel to be on what is like a huge show? You said this is, pretty, I guess, the biggest show you've done in the UK. How does it feel, and how did this all come about, supporting Devil Wears Prada?
It really feels incredible. So we played two very big shows in 2022 with Silverstein, and every show of this tour is that size. So this feels really crazy. So this definitely feels like a step up. Just everything's bigger, more professional, and also more challenging in a way, because you kind of have big shoes to fill, I guess. So we're opening the evening, so we also have a job to do to kind of like get the crowd prepared. And so far we did not have to do that for over 1,000 people. So that's just crazy to us. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun seeing that also, our music kind of works in that larger setting, and also that in the beginning it was definitely tough to feel comfortable on such a big stage. This is definitely something we still have to learn and learn on this tour, and kind of fill all that space on stage, not physically, but like with your presence. And it's really just an unreal opportunity that we got. So yeah, really happy about that.
I think that point you made on your music being loud, and you're right, it feels like it was made for a big stage, and it does, when you listen to it, it feels like it was made with the live show on purpose. And on that sort of, what can people expect from a SENNA live show? What do you bring to the shows?
I think what we bring is definitely just a big sound. We're just 4 people on stage, but we spend a lot of time like figuring out how this transports to live. And so I think it's very common for bands to use tracks. There's of course there's just one guitar, just one bass, but all of so I'm now singing, our bassist is now singing, so this is kind of new. And yeah, we spend a lot of time to just have like a very big sound on stage, and so far the reception has been that it's working out for us. I'm very glad to hear that, and I think that having the live set up like this makes it work on bigger stages, because all of these bigger bands, they have just these huge productions, have a lot of crew working on it, and we don't have a lot of crew, but like we take that and watch these live sets and kind of want to do it ourselves. And I think so far it's been working out. So I think people can expect just like a great sounding, huge sounding show.
And is that something, when you're recording in the studio, is that something you have in mind when you go into making these tracks, this sort of big?
Actually, no. So when we are in the studio, we generally don't think a lot about live. I think some parts you definitely already know they're gonna be very cool live, but no, that's not actually something that we worry about too much in the studio. But it's just in the time we had to prepare for this tour, we just spend a lot of time making sure that that what we've done in the studio translates well, and we recorded a lot of like tracks for it, and it's almost its own separate thing, where it's like, of course we knew the song, but then when we're in the studio, we just want to make it sound great in the studio and on CD and on Spotify and whatever. And then we took that and then started from scratch. Okay, what do we need to do to make it sound great live? And you could really tell for some songs that was just very natural. We didn't have to do a lot of things. Some songs were really difficult and took a lot of time to get there, and some songs just didn't work out, and then we choose not to play them.
And before we jump into your new album, which is coming out in May, which we're very excited for, just want to talk a little about the recording process and what goes into it. Is it a very collaborative thing? Do you tend to write lyrics yourself, or how does that go about crafting these tracks?
So we do work with Manuel Renner from Überlärm Studios. So he's mixing and mastering all the records, but he's also co-writing all of them. So usually we just have some demos and go right into his studio with it. And then I think it's probably a very unusual process because we don't really have any finished songs and then go into the studio, but we just have very basic drafts and record them along the way. Yeah. And so this is usually how we go about the instrumentals, and then we just all sit together and try to write vocal lines for it, and then with that also comes lyrics at some point. For this record, we try to just have like a general theme in our heads, also even during writing the instrumental parts for it, and then kind of all fit that vibe. It's also been the first time we've worked with some external people for like vocal lines. We've worked with Timo from our Mirage, and yeah, that's also just been great. So just in general, with everything we do, we just like to work with people that know what they're doing. In most cases, know it better than we do. So that was actually really cool. So he just sent over some vocal lines, and wherever we found they were just better than what we came up with, we just used them. And on the last song, he's actually just a feature part because, we just thought, hey, this is really cool. Let's just keep him on the track. Yeah.
And on the you mentioned themes. Can you share a little bit about what the themes are you were looking to explore this record? I know it's not out, but just a little taste of what fans can expect.
Oh yeah, sure. So the title is called Stranger to Love, and this came actually last, so we had everything written and we had to come up with a title. And I think a lot of the songs are just little stories, and they're not really these super big crazy movie-like stories, but they're more like subtle things you would kind of deal with in everyday life, and a lot of them have to do with love, but not just love to other people, but also sometimes to yourself. And Rain is really about sharing that love with someone, and it's really harmonic and it's really euphoric. But then there's other songs that kind of deal with maybe love that is not reciprocated and how that feels to yourself. We definitely also have songs, multiple songs even, that kind of deal with not feeling happy about yourself, so not like learning how to love yourself and overcome these struggles. So they're really personal stories, but saying that sounds really dramatic, and it's not that dramatic, but I think that's kind of the beauty of it, because my life is not super dramatic all the time, but it's still these little things that kind of sometimes keep you awake at night. You're overthinking things. So like little conversations, and it's like, oh, that guy looked funny at me. Did I say something wrong? And I think all of us are very, like we can be very in our own heads. So I think you can see that in the album.
I love that. I'm looking forward to now, even more so. And on talking about the tracks, is there a track on there that perhaps people haven't heard yet that you're really looking forward to them experiencing?
Oh yeah. So I think one track that I'm really looking forward is Polarized. It's actually the closer track, and it just feels different, I guess. So I think our sound changed quite a bit coming from the EP. I think it's definitely less heavy in most places. I think it's not your classic rock or metal album. Guitars play like a less important role, and there's a lot more going on aside from that. Polarized kind of goes back to the roots, so it kind of reminds me of Rosehip sometimes, where it's really basic. Just have some guitars, a bass, you have a vocal line over it, so it's really like a very instrumentation-wise, like a very classic rock song. So I was, when we finished that song, it was just like, it sounded so different to me from the rest. So I'm kind of excited to see how people will, feel about that song. So that's probably one of my favorite songs off the record.
And in terms of your set list tonight, I presume you've been playing some tracks of the new album, but looking at the whole discography, have you found certain tracks have kind of popped off with audiences more than, and perhaps some that you didn't expect to?
I mean, Rosehip is the biggest song. Everyone seems to just love it, and also, the streaming numbers reflect that. So Blackout, I think, has been a great track for us, and we played relatively early into the set, and it feels like this is kind of the song where people open up to it, which they just need a few songs to kind of get into it, and not a lot of people know us, so when they see us, they don't necessarily just go crazy right away, so they're just trying to get a feel how, what we're about, and are watching. And I think Blackout is the third song in the set, and that just seems to break the ice, like be the final straw in breaking the ice, and then from there it's just like a lot more energy, a lot smoother. So this has been a great song for us. I'm looking forward to see how people react to just the softer songs, because I think I kind of forget sometimes, but the EP was very heavy in certain parts, and this album is like very soft in certain parts, and I hope people can connect with that as well. It's for sure what like we felt like doing at that moment, and
Absolutely. And what we like to do at the end, towards the end of our interviews, we like to do a few quickfire questions for socials, a little bit of fun. And starting off, I think what would be great to get is what would be your sort of recommendation for new audiences trying to get into SENNA? What would you tell them to listen to first?
Oh, that's a tough question. Probably just the Spotify top tracks. It's a good start, because I feel like whenever bands put out a new album, they kind of want to push people to listen to that, but the EP is still new for a lot of people, and I think this is still a big part of us as well. So I think that's gonna be a good mix for everyone.
And what would you like to say to sort of bands perhaps in your position starting out and beginning this journey? What would you like to say to them? Any advice?
Try to do things really, really well, which might sound like shit advice. But what we found was helping us out a lot is just go into a proper studio, and I know it's tough money-wise and financially just in general for a lot of people, especially for young bands, but it is really, really important in my opinion to just have good quality recordings, because if you write the best songs but they do sound not so good maybe, I feel like people just won't listen to it. And there's a lot of great bands putting out music, so I think just going to the studio and also maybe working with other people on your songs as well. So our producer Manuel has had the biggest impact on our music, and I think that's really important to just work with people who are more experienced than you and be open to their advice, and just like put out high quality songs. When you're doing social media, put out high quality posts, videos.
And who would be an artist you'd really love to tour with next?
That's hard to tell. So one of my absolutely favorite bands is Loath. I'm not sure it would be a good tour package, but I just love their music. For me, they revolutionized metal, really. And I'm really looking forward to some new music, hopefully soon from them. Yeah, I'm not sure it would be like a good tour package, but I just love their music, and
Yeah, they're epic. And what can people expect next from SENNA in 2025?
So we're playing our first festivals also this, or not our first festivals, but you know, we were on a 1 year break, so we're playing festivals again. We're putting out a new album, so I think this will be great, and I'm sure there will be some touring. So there's nothing I can, nothing concrete I can like talk about at the moment, but I'm sure there will be some touring, and hopefully just, you know, see us live, get to know us. We also just love to hang out with people at merch, and you know, get to know our fans. The shows have been great so far, so yeah.